Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. But today it can be a little different for this one because Malty, my friend over here, was never religious. So basically, we're going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of religious influences that possibly had happened in our lives, and also how he ended up getting involved with the ACA and ultimately becoming one of the hosts, like myself, of the nonprofits.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Yeah, well, this should be a lot of fun, man. So kind of while you were growing up and whatnot, did you have any relatives or anyone that were kind of religious or tried to sort of rope you in, that kind of thing?
Both my older siblings were indoctrinated, and I think I missed that myself and possibly my other sibling, my younger sibling, because one of the influences, I think, pushing towards going to church with the kids was my grandparents on my mother's side.
Mm-hmm.
They were in town, but they moved out of town when I was about 8. And so that moved out of state. So that pressure to take the kids to a Sunday school or whatever wasn't there anymore. My dad, he was maybe a deist, and when I asked my mom 10 or something, why we don't go to church, she kind of gave me some story about. It boiled down, now that I think back about it, to the problem of suffering and manifest destiny, which was kind of tough for me to understand at that point in time. I was just kind of like, okay, I'm uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable, let's just drop this and just go with, we don't go to church. It was kind of, it was poo-pooed. It was mocked a little bit in my family as, I don't know, they were both school teachers, so I was raised kind of academically. I was raised on the Church of Public Broadcasting.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
PBS.
Yeah. Just, what is that? Nova. All things considered. Connections with James Burke. That stuff was good.
Very cool. Of course, you and I, because you're close by, watched the same. Was it KCTS9 or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. That is the local PBS station here.
Exactly. And I used to, there's one of the other shows that I used to love to watch back in the day was Almost Live, which was basically the West Coast version of Saturday Night Live. It was full of characters and skits. And that, by the way, is the first place I ever saw the guy on your wall behind you, Bill Nye, right? Because he was
Speedrunner.
All that. Yeah, Speedrunner Man. Or Speedwalker.
Speedwalker. Yeah, Speedwalker Man.
Yeah, I think that my favorite episode was the one that he was chasing the guys that had stole the Stanley Cup, and they were trying to run it back to Canada, and he was trying to catch them. That one and that Billy Wong or something like that, whatever, the karate guy that they always used to have on there.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look up some of those, because there was some really fun stuff there. There's one spot right where the convention center, where I-5 goes underneath the convention center. Yeah, and I just kind of remember how it's just like, if it's light out, then you go into this place and it's dark, so you're blind, and then you come out and you're blind. But then at night you think, oh, it'll be fine. But no, you come in and you're going in and it's dark, and then all these lights and you're blind, and then you come out and you're blind. And it's just like, just comments about the ineptitude of some of the public works they're talking about. It's just, good stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess they could have planned it better.
Yeah, the new tunnel is much better. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I haven't been down there, obviously, in a while, since the pandemic anyways, right? But yeah, I used to go down quite often, and for the for the Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments that they used to hold down there for regionals and and stuff like that, which is a card game.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a Magic the Gathering sort of thing. And I used to go down there and make videos down there on my other channel all the time. And I think one of the funniest things that we did is it was a lunch break. And of course, where we were playing was near the Needle. And just down the street, they had the burger joint called Dick's.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. Yeah. And we used to go down there and say, oh, all right, it's time to go eat some Dick's for lunch.
Everybody loves to eat Dick's. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that was kind of the running joke every time we were down there.
Still is, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
Every 12-year-old that drives by that, we'll keep it going.
Or guys like me that are 12 years old on the inside.
Of course. That's what I meant.
I've got the T-shirt that says, I'm not like most teens. I'm in my 50s, right? So there you go, which is a great one. So, so you're saying that some of your siblings are religious?
Yeah. My oldest brother is religious. And my sister was too.
So how did it happen that they ended up like that, but you just kind of missed the boat, or you just weren't interested?
Well, I think two things. Yeah. One, I thought it was the subtle hints that this was not something that we thought was right I might be projecting on that, but I think mostly it was that there was push, from what I heard from that when the pressure to take the kids to church wasn't there, we weren't taken. So when I hit that 10 to 14-year-old sweet spot for indoctrination, I was watching PBS. I was watching KTS9. Yeah. So also my father was the RIF coordinator for the region or for the school district. That reading is fundamental. So that being said, I had a pretty good library growing up. So I think I tested out at over high school, senior high school level one. I was like in the 6th, 7th grade. And most of that, some of it, of course, is, teaching, but most of it was like I had books and there was always something to read.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is my friend Dave down below, and like me as well. My uncle Stephen used to have season tickets to the Seahawks. So my dad would get the odd tickets that he never wanted, and him and I would go down and always watch the Hawks. So I became a Seahawks fan quite early on in my youth. And he used to go watch Good Times on the Bad Side of the Border. That's what he says there. That's recent, Dave. That's not back then. All right. So lay off. Besides, Seattle was never really, you guys, we always just considered Washington State just to be part of BC anyways, right? Because very, very similar in styles and fashions and food and, everything was very similar.
Yeah, I definitely. There's definitely a vibe to BC that I see it's similar to Seattle.
Starbucks everywhere.
Yeah,
sushi.
Yeah, you definitely have. I think maybe some better sushi, maybe some better Chinese food. But oh man, I had some really good stuff when I went up to the Imagine No Religion 5 conference. That was in Richmond.
It's where I grew up.
Yeah. So that was, there was I had some of the best food right there on the strip there.
Number 3 Road. Famous for its 800 bazillion Chinese restaurants on it.
It's really good
very,
food.
Very large Chinese population there. And I'm happy about that because they have some fantastic cuisine there.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think it's been kind of a housing boom for a lot of condos, giant skyscraper condos going up in that area, at least when I was up there.
Weird. I remember growing up there, they said they could never really build too tall in Richmond because it's a delta.
Yeah.
So you had the chance, if there was an earthquake, buildings would literally just go bloop, bloop, right into the ground.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. The liquefaction of the water of the ground, and they just
exactly.
sink. Yeah.
Exactly. I was always scared of that growing up. It's like,
Yeah.
am I going to sink? Is Richmond going to become quicksand? I'd be riding my bike down number 3 road one day, and all of a sudden, bloop, down I go.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Vancouver a sanctuary city like Seattle? Back to the food. I was going to say yes. I've seen really good Chinese food there, but one thing I love about Seattle is that the diversity of food that is available because there's a lot of North African, a lot of Ethiopian or Eritrean, and there's a lot of Vietnamese food and a lot of food from all over the place because of the immigrants.
Same here.
Yeah.
I guess the Pacific Northwest is a pretty popular place because I had some friends that you might know. They do Divine Disbelief on their channel, and they moved over to Oregon from Texas, which is quite a difference. So, but they love it up here. And as soon as the borders are open, I'm coming down there, and I'm going to do a little West Coast little tour and visit everybody. So.
I'll start cleaning the house.
I think you've got a little ways to go. You know, it's really bizarre. I was reading this somewhere the other day, where they're now saying that it's going to be about 7 years before we see this completely disappear, or at least under full control.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate, though. I mean, with the different vaccines that we have now, all different ones that are coming out, and some of the newer ones are actually able to handle some of the variants that are out there already. But they're saying that it might be like the annual flu shot. You might have to get it every year now.
Right. I mean, it's shown to be a virus that seems to be mutating and having new variants coming out pretty quickly.
Yep.
I have yet to see anything about, and yeah, I'd like to hear where you're seeing this, is that the vaccines that we have have not been working on variants. I just
some of them haven't.
Some of them haven't.
Some of the other ones have.
Yeah. So I guess it all depends on what part of the virus it's targeting, and what parts of the virus are changing.
Yeah, some along those lines. And and eventually, I mean, these people were pretty quick on coming up with these ones as it is, if you think about it. So the new vaccines for the variants will be around the corner, more or less. They'll just be able to tweak some of the existing ones, possibly, and who knows. I'll leave it to
I mean, if RNA vaccines are not something aren't new.
No.
But so yeah, if you have a specific type of protein that you're trying to build, it's just getting the length of messenger RNA with all the bells and whistles attached into your subjects. Yeah, but you think about the depths of India. Think about the depths of some of the African countries.
Mm-hmm.
So if reservoirs can kind of start burning themselves into this spot or that spot, I could see it as something that's going to be re-emergent.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm sure. We'll just have to fight it like we fight the flu every year. We'll end up with vaccines that have like the flu vaccine that comes out every year covers the 4 big ones. And so that's going to be eventually, I think, a COVID vaccine. It'll be the 4 big ones for that year, and you'll be able to inoculate yourself against those ones for that season anyways.
That is such a scary thought with the morbidity rate of this virus.
It is. Yeah, true. But you know what else, though? Who knows? Maybe with this one, maybe over time, humans can evolve a little bit to be a little bit more resistant to it because we've had to deal with something like that. You don't think so?
I think you got it backwards. The reproduction rate of humans versus the reproduction rate of the virus is a little bit different. So it's going to have a little bit more chance of changing than we will.
Fair enough. But who knows? We'll see. Only the future can tell.
Yeah, well, I may have a little bit about more biology than you do. So, but you're a chemist, right?
Yes.
And I was trained in chemistry and in some biology. I was planning on going into biotechnology. But,
Cool.
yeah, and then the crash happened, and then another crash happened, and then I kind of got then I got into nonprofits, and here I am.
Now here you are.
But I still got the biology behind me, so
yeah, I got a couple of books on it here as well. I was going to end up there, but I never did. I just stayed with organic chemistry, and
oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense for what you do.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's really all I needed anyways. And, I make a decent living doing what I do. So
sure. Yeah. I really like those, what is it? CPMS, the coupled plasma. That's
yeah. The coupled plasma machine that I use, the ICAP.
Is it the one that I was trained on was really noisy? Is it, it sounded like a jet engine because of that when you look at with that jet of plasma coming through.
Yes, it does, but it's not really noise. This one is much more modern by Thermo Scientific. So it's
Thermo Fisher is really good.
Yeah, so it's a sizable flame, but you have to actually kind of lean into it to hear it going, that noise that it makes. But as soon as you splash it with the nebulizer, it just goes in there, and it's just cool what it looks like. And all the elements show up on their obvious spots on the electromagnetic spectrum, and you find out which elements you have that are in the oil or the soil or whatever.
So for people who haven't taken organic chemistry, you're looking for heavy metals mostly with that machine.
Yeah, and the ones that are most commonly found in oils and stuff like that, or of the like, are usually vanadium, yttrium, barium, stuff like that. And you can only have specific amounts of it for it to be good enough for recycling. Other than that, it ends up, ending up in plastic or tires or something like that. So they use it for shit like that. So which is another reason why I always say oil really isn't going to go anywhere, folks. We may not burn it as a fuel, but it's going to be used for making things that we commonly use every single day, more things than you realize. So you're watching something that's made from an oil product right now. So there you go. All right. Anyways, let's get back on topic here. I like
so I was raised at the Church of Public Broadcasting, but I think I wasn't. I really wasn't. I didn't have any kind of basis or understanding about how to deal with grief. And then I had a first major death in my life, one of my grandparents, and kind of fell into a little bit of woo.
Okay, I did too. So don't feel bad. I think we've all kind of went down that path once or twice.
Yeah, it was. The universe could hear me, and intent was important.
Could read your thoughts. Positive thoughts to put it out into the universe.
Deepak Chopra, kind of bullshit. But I tell you what, it did spur me to change from a career in retail. And to actually go to school, and that's when I decided I was gonna go to school and get a degree and start. I was gonna get an associate's, a 2-year degree in chemistry, because I wanted to have a brewmaster's license.
Nice.
And by the time I got through that college, I was liking school so much, and I was getting some pressure from my not mentor, advisor, that he's like, well, why don't you just go on for another 2 years and then get a degree in biochemistry and brew other things? Like, this was back in the late 90s. So that's
create
when
life in a lab in your bedroom.
Well, that's when these biologics, drugs were starting to really come on the market. Names like Amgen or Zymogenetics, and these companies were starting to come up in my area as big makers, and big pharma was starting to get a hold in the area. And I was thinking that was a good place to go. So I just continued on schooling for for a while, and yeah, took my time and made some pretty tight choices so I could double major and still do that in 2 years.
Cool.
It was a tough ride, but you know, I wasn't 19 or 22. I was another 8 years down the road, so I was like, I already understand what work is. I was a manager for 7 years at that point in time.
Right. So you knew how to school.
I was 13 hours in the science building 5 days a week, and then 8 hours another day, and then Sundays off.
Jenna wants to know what line of work have you not done? and if you could do something, what would it be?
Oh, like, okay.
What would your dream job be, Malty? Not the nonprofits, I imagine.
Really, I would like to be a something like a science educator, but for Congress.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that would be someone that would work for some kind of lobbying, but lobbying for not Greenpeace, but for the lobbying for positive, just, I don't know, trying to explain to at least my local government why some of their things or what they're doing is either needs to be changed, or showing them up and coming things that they should look at as far as sustainability in our local region.
Sure.
There's some places in the, I mean, you live, I mean, you got a giant island right off the coast, right? And you live in a river delta. So here in I live in an inland sea. It's all built by the same glacial type of action that went on. But there's some areas where there hasn't been much water movement, and there's been a lot of pollution. Some super cleanup sites here in the area, and we've got local populations of orca that are pretty sick. The number of orcas are not going up. I spent a couple years working at an aquarium, and so I learned a lot about local marine ecology there, and how bad it is. I wouldn't eat fish that were fished locally here in the Sound.
No,
not unless it was a salmon, because it's just coming into spawn.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're probably a lot cleaner. That's what I prefer around here too, is the Pacific salmon.
Yeah.
But it's not so bad here.
What have I not done?
Have you ever worked at McDonald's?
I
did.
I never worked at McDonald's. I did work at a restaurant. As one of my first jobs was washing dishes at the local haunt that was down the hill from where I was living. I drank and sang at the karaoke bar there years later for way too much.
I love doing karaoke back in the day.
Yeah.
Or as we say up here, karaoke. I don't know.
But no, I mean, there's lots of things I haven't done, I'm sure. Yeah. I've always been kind of a hands-on guy. I mean, I think I had some overconfidence for a while. And that led to frustration, you know. It's just like, oh, sure, I could do that. And I'm like, why does this not look like a professional did it?
Yeah.
Because it was done by me.
Yeah.
A non-professional.
Yeah. I tried my hand in restoration industry for a little while.
Okay.
And, by the end of it, I was getting pretty good, but I ended up having a blowout with the guy I was doing it with. And I'm like, you know what, fuck you. And I walked off the site and I just went home, and I never really continued.
So you were restoring houses?
Like drywall, painting, that kind of stuff. Like it was flood, fire, that kind of thing, right? So
okay, yeah.
In a fire, they would clean it all out, and then you'd have to go in there with the seal spray that seals up all the flame smell or smoke smell, and then reboard, retape, remud, and then paint the whole works, or cut out board that was wet and put in new board, and accept that kind of thing.
Gotcha. I was thinking you were talking about like a antique But
That would have been way cooler, but I didn't know anyone in the industry at the time. I basically went from, Jesus, what haven't I done as a kid? I was a pizza driver, worked at McDonald's, worked in a record store for quite some time. And then I went from there to the I think I ended up quitting that place because the new manager was a dick. And then I went back to driving pizza again. And then I got into the restoration.
Yeah. Well, if you want my whole rundown, give me 1 second. I'm going to clear my throat here. Yeah. I started out in retail grocery. So that was 15 years, straight out of high school. And
it's like my birth dad was the same way. And he went with him for his entire life and retired.
People that I was working for and working with at that time are retired now. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a pension too. My dad's, he was old enough, like he started back in 1964 or something. And he's old enough to, they had pensions with I think he worked for a company called Save On Foods, which was a division of something called Overweighty. And he now gets a pension, an old age pension. And so he's doing good.
Good. Yeah, so they, I definitely get statements from my union trust for those 15 years. You bet.
Nice.
It's I'm liking what hopefully we'll get some of this anti-union stuff might get turned around here. I think it's good for people having collective bargaining. I'm talking about the Amazon vote that's going on, I think, right now down in Arkansas, Alabama, somewhere like that.
I haven't heard of this. I have no idea what you're referring to.
Yeah. Amazon warehouse workers are voting to unionize in
good for them.
Large distribution centers in the South.
They deserve to.
Yep.
Because they need to be paid way more. I mean, those guys are worked off their feet because everybody uses Amazon. So we got a couple of big warehouses in my area, for crying out loud. And I know they don't pay them huge bucks, but they should, because these guys work hard.
Yeah. So after that, like I said, during that time is when Grandma died, and I read Deepak Chopra and decided to go back to school because the world was my oyster at that time.
So what'd you go back to school for? More chemistry or
biology and chemistry?
Yeah.
Yep. So then I got a job working for the Veterans Administration. I was working for the local university who had contracts with the Veterans Administration to do work for one of their departments about doing behavioral studies. I was working in a neuroendocrine lab. So I was looking mostly at hypothalamal pituitary adrenal axis.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. So I was doing all the hormone assays. So I was doing things like radioimmunoassays or ELISAs or some beta probes. So just a little bit of radiometric kind of stuff, working with radiation, a little bit of colorimetric kind of stuff, mostly hormones, looking for changes in hormones, dissected way too many rats. And that was the thing that really kind of blew me out of it. And I kind of got stuck. The plan was for me to stay at that place for 3 to 5 years and then kind of move on from there. Were
you ever a Jedi, Malty?
I was a Jedi. Was Malty? Yes, I was never a Jedi.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because of the yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, I was trying. So we were trying to look into aging and alcoholism and how that affects the stress system. So I mean, for the Veterans Administration, it's applicable.
Right, for sure. Would you learn about the alcoholism part, anyways? As I take a sip of beer.
Hating your job because you're working in torturing small and fuzzies should not be overcompensated by lots of alcohol.
Yeah, probably not.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I think that the work we were doing, I haven't seen any conclusive ground shattering of anything from it, but that's the way that science works. It's baby steps.
Yep.
And so we get, if we get a little bit of a better understanding, that just one of the things that was really bugging me about it was that I couldn't see any good reason. I didn't see that there was any kind of knowledge coming out of it. But then again, that's not my job.
Right.
I was the guy, I was the tech. I wasn't the PhD with years of research study under their belt. But yeah, I found another job that was using the same type of skills at the Seattle Aquarium, which was a lot more warm and fuzzy. I was checking hormone levels in the animals that are there.
Cool. For reproduction purposes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, making sure that the birth control was working properly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So marine mammals and birds.
I was only ever at the one in Seattle once in my life, and I think I was probably 12 or something at the time. Because we have one here too as well, the Vancouver Aquarium.
It's a nice one, yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, we used to go just to watch the whale show, of course, with the orcas and the belugas, stuff like that, and the dolphins. They had dolphins, but they don't. Not many of them are left there now. I think they only have the few that are left because they don't want to release them into the wild.
They don't feel that they're going to be able to survive on their own if they do release them. Yeah, that's
right. So, and it's even worse for the ones that are born in captivity too, because they've had, I think, a baby beluga was born there some time ago, but be even worse for that because it has no idea what it's like to be outside of an aquarium. So, yeah.
I think it's a good shift away from keeping marine mammals captive as at all possible. All the ones that are at the Seattle Aquarium have all been rescues, or have been bred, have had. There was one at the aquarium while I was there, and but you just spin it. It's like, oh look, we got a baby sea otter now. It's so cute. Yeah, so that happened, and it drove ticket sales. So
for sure.
And it's just the thing. It's not that they don't allow breeding to happen, but they have a very strict breeding program because you don't want interbreeding, and if you're going to have a healthy population, you want to like one of the harbor seals. Left for 6 months to hang out with a bunch of other harbor seals at a different aquarium. Hopefully, if they could find somebody they liked. That didn't happen, but and then they came back. So that there's definitely an idea of who gets to come off birth control at any point in time.
Well. Canadian Oliman says, you've got a Discord link with a membership link so you can become a Jedi if you want to.
Thanks. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, do you do much on Discord? Or, I mean, other than the ACA one that you and I are both in?
There are some people, some admins who have they talk about how they have to get rid of some of their Discord servers because you can only have 100, and so they have to make another account so they can shuffle off. And I'm not that guy. I got let's see, how many do I have? I've got maybe 5 that I'm active on out of the 25 that I'm in.
Yeah, somewhere similar like that. I think I'm active in 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
one of them isn't even mine either. I'm barely ever in mine. So
there's for the one that I'm admin on, we've got I guess that I could all call those all one. So we can knock that down for a couple numbers, but it doesn't matter. Always happy to join a new server. I'm trying to actually figure out how this whole Discord thing, the back end works a little bit more now. Trying to do some work for the ACA on that. That's on actually on the schedule for this week. I got to get that done. So
yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be involved with the show tomorrow because it's my blood donation day. So myself and Randolph and Mr. Dave Secular, who I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but the three of us get together with other folks, and we go donate as a group, for Canadian Atheists and for my dad's group as well. Because my dad was BC's highest donor, and when he passed away, I started a Partners for Life group. We call them Partners for Life groups, in his honor. And I'm still kind of blown away that it happened this way, but I went on the news to tell the story and was managed to get almost 200 people into my group in the first year. And when they asked me, because you have to make a pledge every year. So they say, well, how many donations do you think you could do in the year? And I'm like, well, I could probably, no one with my loud mouth, I could probably break my dad's record. And they're like looking at each other like, is he fucking serious? Are you kidding? What? Like, that's never happened in Canadian history. Like, a single person start a group, that doesn't happen. Why don't you go for something a little bit more conservative, like 50 donations? I was like, well, if you say so, you can write that down, but I'm telling you now, we'll break that. And sure as shit, a year later, 681 donations.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so broke the initial pledge by 1,240%. So they made me a cake. Said first time ever in Canada, donation pledge broken by 1,240%. So I'm pretty proud of that. So it's a big deal to me. And I've been managing to recruit even more and more people all the time. Now, a lot of the folks that were in there for the initial year have kind of faded away. Some go back,
There's
some
always
don't. Right?
Yeah.
So, but
there's some fade off. Yeah, always.
Yeah. We do still bring in over 450 donations every year as a group. So that's still pretty cool. But we need more. So if there's any of you guys out there watching that live in my area and you want to become a blood donor and join an amazing group, mine's the one to join. And all you need to do is get in touch with me through Facebook and I can get you set up. Tons of mice. Neil, the absentee discorder. Yep. Yeah. That's me. But yeah.
So that was after I stopped. So I got out of the lab at the VA in 2007, end of 2007, beginning of 2008. So that's right during the market crash, during the housing bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good time to be looking for work.
No.
And so, yeah, but it was nice to be able to get in with Seattle Aquarium. I was working on the front end and volunteering in a lab and volunteering on the floor. And so that's when I really started working out, doing a lot of volunteer work. Started getting into the local atheist community. And then I worked for a home medical supply company for a while, doing respiratory stuff mostly. Yeah. I was driving around a LOX truck. Real fun.
Wow. Did you guys end up selling those with those little defibrillator machines at all, or?
No. This is mostly oxygen. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, so cryogenic liquid oxygen is what I was driving around with a few thousand pounds of that in the back, and it's filling up people's tanks.
Cool. It's a good thing you didn't end up slipping into one of those cryogenic machines like Fry on Futurama and end up 1,000 years in the future.
I would have missed Trump.
Yes, you would have. But really, do we miss him? I don't think so.
Oh, it's like a bad case of foot fungus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that. Tried to run a little nonprofit tool library, and yeah.
How did that go?
Not too good.
No.
No. I think there was a lack of commitment by everyone involved to be sober at work.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's tough when the director's walking in with the beers in his hand at 11 o'clock, and he was supposed to be there at 10:30. So
Well, he had
yeah,
to stop and get beer, right? So
as the president, I vocalized my uh, unhappiness with that, and was asked to step down.
really,
Long
you were
story
asked.
short,
You were asked to hold on. You were asked to step down from
because
the nonprofit you started.
no, from a
Oh, I think.
nonprofit that I joined and was president of for a couple years. Yeah.
Okay.
The director was one of the original members, was one of the original creators. The vice president was one of the original creators. Those are the only two that are left of the 7 people that started it.
Really? So I take it they're not really doing anything anymore then.
Well, see, oh gosh, yeah, digging into dirt.
I got a shovel. You need.
Yeah. So from one thing I did not see, I was not brought in on this. I learned this after the fact. One of their friends had a makerspace that was going out of business. They were losing their lease. So what I come to find out is the things that they were doing that I thought was so crazy had reasons that I didn't know about. Things like trying to build a loft in a building that is a historical monument, and I'm like, and you're not telling the management that you're wanting to do large renovations to this historic building, and it was not up to code, and I was railing against it. It keeps on moving forward. That's when I started pushing for, okay, we need this to be a sober place. And that's when I was asked to leave. So a little more involved, but sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but I still think I have the nonprofit bug from starting, from the aquarium. And I think the idea, of a tool library still is a good idea. It can be hard to administrate and to get it to go well, but I think it can work. Not everybody needs not everybody mows their grass every single day of the week. You mow your grass every week or every other week, right?
Sure.
So you only need one lawnmower per 7 households. Truthfully, and if you had one person that was taking care of 4 lawnmowers, making sure they're all in great shape, a couple hours a day, it's what they were doing just maintenance-wise, and you wash the damn thing off and before you brought it back, then everybody could have the top of could put a little bit of money in and have the top of the line Husqvarna that they're walking behind instead of trying to push this beat up old thing because that's all they could. It just kind of makes sense. It's a collective bargaining for the things that you hardly ever use or use only at a certain durations.
I'm sorry, but I would need to ride them because I'm just that lazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and it has to have a beer holder on it too, because that new super cruise control where I don't even have to steer, just fucking sit on there, get a suntan.
At that point in time, why isn't it just a Roomba for your lawn?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but then I'm not outdoors and having a beer outside and getting some rays.
I see.
Right? Yeah.
Sure.
Actually, my dad used to make me mow the lawn all the time as a kid. I had to do it once a week because where we lived, grass seemed to grow like fast. Like by the next week, it was already almost a fucking foot high or some shit. So I was always out there pushing the lawnmower on, and that's when I had my first beer, because I think I was about 14 when he started making me do that. And after the first time I cut the lawn, he came out and he looked around, he went, it's pretty good for your first time. I think you've earned a beer. And I'm like, really? Because, back in those days, it was 70s, 80s. I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Beer, right on. I could be cool. So he cracked me a beer. And of course, up here we have a brand called O'Keefe's Extra Old Stock. And it's a malt beer. So it's a little bit higher percentage too. So yeah, and I almost got drunk off one beer. My dad said, that's it, just one for you. And of course, later on, I ended up stealing a few from him here and there. He knew,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he didn't really say anything. Yeah, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say it's a malty beer, but
Well, that's where the name Malty comes from. Is I was kind of getting onto some atheist servers and had to use an email address, and one of them was maltose. One of my favorite sugars, right?
yeah.
That's the thing. When I was, looking to have a brewmaster's license, I was brewing in my garage at the time. I had a 15-gallon whole grain system. So I would, in an 8-hour day, I could push out 24 gallons of beer, and then come back a week later and keg it up.
Wow.
No,
Shit, man.
24. Yeah, so 4 gallons per can. I would get 3 cans per 6 at 24.
Wow. How come we haven't been friends earlier?
Well, that's when it was going on, was earlier, when everybody was having parties and having getting married and having birthdays or first birthdays, and it's a late 20s early 30s type of drinking. Not yeah. I gave up that alcohol 2013.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you don't drink at all anymore?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it got to the point where when I started, I wouldn't stop.
Oh, yeah, that's no good.
Yeah.
That's no good. I always have a limit that I set for myself.
But I tell you what, and you're able to keep it. That's interesting.
Yep, I could do that.
Okay.
I days where I don't even have any.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so when it starts to only be binging, then yeah, about time. I tell you what though, rational emotive behavioral therapy, like smart recovery, really made me kind of think about things, and it brought my atheism to a front. It made me. I think I was using the alcohol as a way to hide.
It's possible. Many people do that.
Yeah, and one of the things I was hiding was my atheism from the people around me. And when I decided to say, no, this is me, that was definitely part of that work, was me accepting that, that I had to be me. And when it was either speak up because someone is saying something that was Jesus every third word of their sentence, it's either have a drink or say, please stop that. I had to go to the please stop that. I'm being very nice here. Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to be on this channel. But I get what you mean, for sure.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I did find out, that there was some pushback, and there was quite a bit of acceptance. A little bit of other, but yeah. So I've done that. What else have I done? Oh, I learned how to run a ceramic studio. That was
cool.
Really cool. Yeah. So see the stuff behind me on the walls and stuff. I've tried to figure out if it was something that I could do for a living. I think my body is telling me that that's not the case, but I mean, I think I'll definitely love to get back into doing some of it. And at least I definitely think there are some things that I could make that would sell. Like these guys, I think people, these are the ones that have sold the best.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Look at you all looking like a neuroscientist over there.
Well, it was part of me doing reflection on the time I spent in the endocrine lab, all the little rat brains that I had to dissect. Mm-hmm. Kind of coming to terms with that. And so I did this one big plaque that was, I think it was 12 of those, but they were all different colors, different glazes, and different preparations. Some of them were oxidation fire, some of them were reduction fire.
Yeah.
Some I fired in was wood fire. It took 60 hours of us stoking that thing to get it up to temperature.
Geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, and then soda fire is also fun. You add sodium into the flame and it volatilizes, and then when it sticks to the pot, it melts the outside of the pot. That's what this is. This is soda fire. So you can see that this is where the flame hit, depositing the sodium and melting that into glass. So it's like, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
So
there's a coffee shop near me where you can go in and have coffee, and you can make pottery, and then fire it in their kilns, and they'll do it for you, and then you come back in like a couple of days or something and
painting up.
Yeah.
Is it one where they have the pieces made and you can paint them and then they fire them, or
you can either make your own or buy pre-made molds and then you paint them and stick them in there, or you can make your own, paint it and stick it in there, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, is that like in a mold, or is that on a wheel or by hand?
They have little wheels in the back, like you can go in the back and use their little wheels, or you buy the pre-made like molded ones or whatever and do that. Yeah. Most of the people buy the pre-made, I found, or I noticed, at least back then. And they do really well. Like they actually, they have really good coffee. And so they do really well over there.
Yeah, I think I've seen those in little towns around here, where the town I grew up, where my mom still lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got about a little under 10 minutes left here, Malty. I kind of want to
really already.
I know. Time just goes boop. But yeah, I've been enjoying the conversation.
Me too. Yeah. You wanted to touch on something?
Yeah. How did you get involved with the ACA and ultimately the nonprofits? Sniffles.
I took both Flonase and Claritin today, so I hear you. I think we're about to get the cherry blossoms and the other ones coming out here soon. Yeah, I mean I've got all well.
We're about to get a polar vortex here.
We are. Yeah, we are. We're but it's only like 3 days for us.
I know, yeah, but it's going to dip to like minus 20, and I'm like, fuck off! That doesn't happen here. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Screw you, Mother Nature.
I was watching an ACA show, and they mentioned the Discord. Didn't know what Discord was, but I joined the ACD back when it was the ACA Discord. Then was there for a little while, and they needed some help with moderation, and I was like, that's kind of the person I am when I maybe it's because of the years that I spent in retail that I can say something. Hey, this seems like it's bugging me, and it feels like it's bugging the rest of the room. Do you understand that that's what you're doing? Kind of approach, and so I felt comfortable saying, hey, if you want me to come and join the mod team, I'll try. Been doing it since. So that what was it? January, February, March of 2020. Johnny P. Angel and Ben talked to me about the interstitial time between Truth Wanted, Talk Heathen and AXP.
Yeah.
I would, usually I would do some MC work like right after Talk Heathen, and they were wondering if I would want to join a group of the nonprofits and just have a conversation, something to keep the ball rolling when they couldn't, go out and do the Atheist Vanguard stuff that they were doing. They weren't coming into the station or coming into the library to record. So I said, sure. And that's, so we were doing that for a number of months. And that's when they decided to reinvent it and start it back up with the remote stuff going on, I was asked to be one of the hosts. I'm hoping that it was, that I showed my worth and not that it was out of just gratitude. But I keep on trying to show worth.
I'll tell you, it's probably because of your worth for sure. Because I think I've done 2 with you now. I think.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 that you and I've done on or done together.
At least.
Yeah. I'm on quite a few of them. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be recording tomorrow, folks, so you won't see me on this coming Sunday because myself and Mr. Simply Secular over there in the chat is going to be giving up some blood to the vampires. Because him, myself, and Randolph go and we donate blood every 56 days is what you're allowed to do it here in Canada. Although I'm sure you could probably do it sooner, but that's what they consider to be the best time in between.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to show up and still be a little bit anemic, it's not good for anybody.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but they always say, "Oh, and don't drink alcohol after." I'm like, "Sure, no problem." See you later. Of course, you get drunk quicker, but well, not really, but it seems that way sometimes. I'm probably also
No, I just stick to my baking these days.
Baking.
Yes, I pull out a little bit of. It's called a can of whoop ass.
Where's this going? Oh,
can of whoop ass.
Oh, geez.
And so it just makes them. Yeah. It's a distillate, whatever.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Never heard of that.
Very cheap. Inexpensive, I guess. I got cookies.
Awesome.
Just, one cookie a day keeps the doctor away.
Are they special cookies?
They're not for general consumption. That's correct.
I like the way you said that. You wouldn't be giving them out at the schoolyard. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think the coolest thing I've ever had in that fashion was a special bacon brownie.
Bacon. Oh. Bacon's good.
Oh yeah, but it was
bacon.
One of those.
Yeah.
Made with the butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. And then afterwards you're like, I need about 10 more of these. But of course I didn't want to eat 10 more of them because then I'd be just hooped.
Yeah, no, I don't find the flavor to be the best. I tell you what, there is this one bakery that is downtown that makes the best. Oh man, I did not know that a lemon bar could taste that good.
Wow,
these guys are so good. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of lemon flavored shit either, but I like lemon bars.
Yeah, Meyer bar. Yeah, these are just. It's the Dahlia Bakery. If you're ever in Seattle and you're driving down 4th Avenue and you see that sign, pull over, because even if there's a line out the door, there's definitely going to be good things inside. There usually is a line out the door.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It empties out. The shelves empty out every single day. Sure. Really good stuff. But yeah. So I mean, I got with the. So now I'm doing the nonprofits. I produced my first nonprofit.
Cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was, though not last one, but the one before. Johnny wasn't available, so I stepped into that. And doing a little work behind the scenes, like I said. But yeah, trying to keep active with them.
Very cool. One of these days, I'll actually take the helm and actually run one of the shows, but I'm much more comfortable just being the guy that answers questions and shit like that. Like I obviously I run my own show here, but
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to do, and there's definitely a little bit more work being the conductor. Sure. I mean, it's
much better at it than me.
Yeah, it is. You know, different people have their own different styles, though. That's one thing that I think is good about the nonprofits is, you know, Puck likes to ask questions. It likes to put out the different ideas to have to rally conversation. I am a facts guy. You know, I definitely am. Well, yeah, you almost got that right. Let me, you know, and I'm the one that wants to just dig in and read way too much about, and then get overloaded and not remember anything. But
yeah.
You know, and I think Jenna's the professional, and she comes in with all this good stuff and has everything ready when she says she's going to, and yeah.
Well, she's kind of giving me a heads up about this coming weekend. I have a guest on the show called the African Humanist. She's fantastic, by the way, and Jenna, and also somebody else warned me about this, that my show was going to be hijacked by all the women. So my after party is going to be hijacked. But I spoke with Cynthia, who you also know.
Oh, sure.
She says, "Don't worry, it can be, you and Mikey can be there, and then everyone else. It's going to be an all girls sort of thing." And, you know, and I sat back, well, wait a minute. So, you know what? I'm cool with this. I'm okay with this. Hey, Puck, you're present just for the end. He's like, oh, hey, Malty.
Hey, there's Puck.
That's not the one I meant. That's the one. People type too quickly, and then they just go, whoop, and then all of a sudden I'm on the wrong one when I try to load it up. And as always, he's bringing presents.
Ah, so nice. Good feelings.
Women going to take over this Saturday. That's right.
So, okay. We'll have, what time is that?
Same time, 5:00. Oh, by the way, thank you, Derek, for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek.
5 p.m. Well, it'll be 6 p.m., 6-ish, because I always take a bit of a break between the show and then the after party. Which, by the way, folks, we're going to be doing tonight. So if any of you would like to be involved, just let me know, because I don't have a producer tonight. Mikey's got to go and train people at work. So he couldn't be here for tonight. So I've been running everything sort of in the background on my own here. But we are going to do one. So, and I can go for a little bit. I can't go for as long as we normally do, which is usually a couple hours at least. But I can go for at least about an hour and a half. Maybe upwards of 2 hours. But and Malty, are you going to join us for this, like, and hang out a little longer?
Yeah, I can join us. I don't know if I can hang out for an hour and a half, but
well, stick around
definitely.
For half an hour to an hour. Sure, we'd love that. I mean, this is your day, man.
I'll see how long this headset hangs. We'll keep on
plug it in between.
Yeah, definitely. I could. Well, now that we don't need the real good mic, I can switch over to the other headset.
There you go.
And run the mic off the camera. It's not too bad.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So anyways, guys, I want to thank everyone for hanging out in the chat with Malty and myself. And Malty, man, thank you so much. I know I kind of had to pull your leg a few times to get you to do this, because you said, well, I don't really have a deconversion story. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No worries.
We'll just talk about, you know, I like what we ended up mostly about where we live and all the cool shit around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately we did talk a little bit about religious influence, like from family members and friends. And I wanted to hear how you kind of got involved with the whole ACA thing, because I never knew.
Yeah.
I, of course, had to go to Austin to get involved with them. But yeah, it's been fun ever since. But before we go, what I want to do is say thank you to all my wonderful patrons, because you guys are amazing and you help this show get better and grow. And well, you know what I mean. You guys are just amazing. And don't forget that Randolph and myself are coming up with a show soon. I can't really give you an exact time. Pardon me, because we're still building the studio. As a matter of fact, the western wall is going up pretty soon. So if not today, they were waiting for me to do it. But I have a pinched nerve in my shoulder. It actually goes all the way down the right side of my body right now. I'm on painkillers, so it's not so bad right now, but it can get nasty. and it hurts like a bitch. So I told him I'd be useless. I could be there to host the videoing of it, but I'm like, no, I got to do my show instead. So anyway, so head over to the True North Talk channel, which you can find. And there's also the www.truenorthtalk.ca, which can also lead you right to the channel as well. And you can check out all the stuff that'll be going on there. There's some funny videos that we've got there already. A friend of ours took some of the scenes of us building the frame and sped it up like on the old Benny Hill show and put that music to it too. So we look like some bumbling idiots building the studio. And like Malty and myself, we are hosts of the new revamped and relaunched nonprofits, property of the ACA, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we are the nonprofits. So get over to that channel and give it a sub as well. And also, at the end, last Saturday of every month, myself and Andy Hall, who's a comedian, has his channel called Laughing in Disbelief. We do a little show on that channel, along with Seamus from the Free Thought Prophets, called Atheist Drinking Out Loud, where we have a few beers or scotches or gins or whiskeys or whatever, and we talk about some politics and some things, and we make fun of shit. That's a lot of fun to do. So anyways, guys, that's it, folks. It's the last call for alcohol because we're about to jump into the after party. So what you can do is check the links below. I've got them you can find Malty on Facebook, and you can also, I got a link to the nonprofits channel down below where you can see the both of us and the lovely Miss Jenna Mee, who's in the chat as well, and Puck, who's in the chat as well. We're all hosts of that nonprofit. So go over there and give us a sub. And check us out because we're always on between Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience at about 3 p.m. Central Time, which is 1 p.m. Pacific Time if you live on this coast, which is the best coast, by the way. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we will see you guys next time.